out of that, I remember that next day I said, look, I want a fiddle player.
Kevin kept saying, we need a fiddle player in the band, and I kept thinking, a fiddle player? That's ridiculous. I never said that, but they can redefine a band completely, you know, because if you choose a keyboard, the band could be like more rock oriented or more Americana or whatever, but when you get a fiddle player, it's usually you become a band with a fiddle player. Kevin has a house in Aspen, and we were going to go up there and do some rehearsing and play this great little club called the Belly Up.
We just decided that we would play in Aspen, you know, since it's my hometown a little bit.
The fiddle player that we had been using at the time had a tour in Europe scheduled and wasn't able to do this show with us. Bobby happened to be in Aspen, and we had heard Bobby and his great band at Kevin's wedding.
I had a 3-day wedding, and it was just 3 days of partying, and on the second night we had this great band play, and Bobby was kind of headlining the whole deal, and you could just see what a talented force he was.
And Kevin and Bobby had struck up a relationship, and both Blair and I were at the wedding and really liked, you know, your playing and everything.
We contacted, I think it was Michael Goldberg, who owns the Belly Up, and suddenly we, you know, got a little charity thing going where money could go to the right place, and lo and behold, the Belly Up filled up.
And we played with him, and he just like, holy.
Well, it answered that question. Oh, I see what a fiddle can do.
Bob has his own band, and so he plays with us when he can, and we've known this, and so what we've done is cultivated some really great fiddle players.
So when he's playing with his band and can't make our shows, we use another wonderful fiddle violin player. His name is Luke Bula from Nashville.
Obviously brings a different style than Bobby, but is such a road dog. I mean, and when you hear Luke's story about how he was raised, you know, with music and on the road.
He came from one of these families that where he was playing with the family when he was like 5 and 6 years old.
I've been playing with the Modern West guys for, I guess it's been since last October. A good friend of mine, Casey Dreesen, went out with these guys and played. I guess he did a show with you guys over on the East Coast somewhere. I think it was maybe South Carolina. Yeah. And he and I have grown up playing playing fiddles together. Actually, we started. We met each other when we were teenagers and played music together a lot. And so Casey was real excited to get to play some music because, of course, you know, we all have been watching Kevin in movies for a lot of years, and so it was a unique experience and a unique opportunity.
And so Luke's a fun guy to have around, and actually contributed quite a bit on the record, as did Bob.
And then when we made a change on fiddle, I mean, we knew our first call was going to be Bobby, and but we wanted a really strong harmony singer, and I knew Park, obviously a great harmony singer, and I knew he played guitar, and I knew he played guitar well.
What a fun way to start. I mean, I flew out and met you guys in Santa Barbara, and we hung out at Kevin's place.
The first time I met him, you know, he wanders into my house. I think he's barefoot, and he's kind of wandering from room to room, and he's got hair like Jesus.
When you first start playing music, you know, and you're in a band with a bunch of guys who are really excited about, you know, the sound that's being born, you know, and it felt like that, and everybody was excited and laid back, and it was really fun.
You know, he's a very quiet guy, but ultimately, you know, Park has brought so much to the band. He is a great vocalist and a great songwriter. But where this band's concerned, it's everybody has a place and it fits. Nobody is jockeying for any position. And as the guys have evolved into this band, you know, I've found that my own life has improved, you know, just from a social standpoint, from a friendship. You know, I feel like I've got guys that have a lot of compassion, a lot of wisdom, and are essentially, without painting them like saints, good men. They're just good men. Whenever you do one of these things, people, you know, do want to know, you know, what is the process, you know. John Coyman is such a strength of our band. he was the one that gave me the confidence, because I felt that he's just a superior songwriter. Long Hot Night, you know, really started off as a little kind of ballad. You know, it was something we dinked around with on the couch. It was kind of sweet.
For those people who are familiar with it, they know it now as a rock and roll song. For those people who have heard it, but it started out as a there's a freight train rolling through the dead of night, headed straight for Yuma. And it was a ballad, and so we recorded it on CD, and then kind of Teddy saw a lot more potential other than just kind of a ballad to it, and wrote a wonderful bridge, and then.
No, I couldn't sing it like a ballad.
Oh, you couldn't sing it like.
So
okay.
I thought, well, maybe this would be a good rock song.
Okay, great. So
That's
so
really
then
what
that's
happened.
when that's basically what happened. Then.
Yeah.
And so it became Teddy really rocked it up, and one of the great things about when we collaborate as songwriters is that I have kind of a folky approach. That's my history and my tradition, and Teddy came from the blues.
It was just kind of the right moment, and actually the band realized a lot of its full potential actually in making that song.
Yeah, when we started rehearsing and playing it with Kevin, it was got even faster.
Bobby, I think, threw a little lightning bolt into this song during one solo, and it just kind of really amped the whole thing up, you know, musically. I think songs like Superman really reflect what it was like when we were 10, 11 years old. And those images are very, very vivid, and John is really a master of, I think, identifying experiences that we've both had. My upbringing is very similar to John's in that there was a simplicity to how we were raised and the creativity we needed. And it's very American in the sense that it was about swimming holes, it's about Little League, it's about barbecues, it's about falling in love with a girl that's way over your head. It's having your heart broken in 1,000 pieces. It's about go-karts. You know, the band is, you know, while it doesn't rely on one person, you know, I think that, you know, if I don't say John Coyman's name enough, it would be wrong. I guess he's our godfather, you know, I don't know. But there's something about when Teddy and Park actually get together too, that there's a lot of magic.
So yeah, 90 miles an hour, that was, I remember that because Park, at the time, Park and I lived a couple blocks from each other, and he had some ideas, and I had some ideas. And Park came over, and I remember sitting in the kitchen, those chairs, got our acoustic guitars, and right away I'm like, I like that. I can work with that. That's something. So we went straight out into my garage studio, where a lot of the record ended up being recorded there, and we put up a drum loop, and it just happened.
90 miles an hour. That's a song that's kind of evolved the way the band is actually evolving, because, you know, we live different places. We're not able to, you know, go over to each other's house. Although Teddy and Park, in this instance of 90 miles, I think, you know, started flirting with this idea and brought it to me while we were on Swing Boat out in Albuquerque.
And I remember we were on Swing Boat sitting in the trailer, and he went into, you know, he should be taking a nap. He's been shooting all day.
That's right.
All of a sudden he opens the door. Teddy, Park, come in here. I want to talk about something. And then he just says, play me 90 miles an hour. I'm thinking, well, let me go get my iPod, because I hardly remember it. It's been a while. He's like, no, just play it. But just remember that, just watching him, like, it's like a light went off, and he was like, you know, this song, I know the direction to finish this song. And then, you know, he really directed it from there.
One of the lines that really stood out the most for me, two lines, which was, you know, I thought the world was flat. for way too long. And I think that's a function of my conservative upbringing. I'll drive right off the map. A line that appears later in the song is, it's just an idea of there's just no more fear.
The great thing about this band is Kevin's always had such a clear vision of what he's wanted it to be, and he was able to kind of come in and go, oh, I really like this. I really like where this is going, and sort of shape the final story, and really make it a personal song for him. So yeah, it was cool. So hopefully the first of many to come.
This song kind of starts with the song that Teddy and Park we introduced when we were down in Albuquerque, and I've been futzing around with it a little bit, and we've never even got together, the three of us, so we're gonna do that right now. We're in Rome, and whether the song ever becomes anything or whatever, this is where it starts right now. Called 90 Miles an Hour.
Let's see what happens.
1, 2, 3. I'll tell you, I felt an inclination leading into 90 miles an hour to do a vocal thing right there.
Go for it.
But I mean, I remember when I told you sometime I thought I heard a bridge there?
Yeah.
I don't think we need a bridge, but maybe vocally I can do something that bridges it.
Or even like we can do some sort of cool background thing.
It just
where
yeah, it should be something because what happens.
We're missing a low.
Yeah, it needs something there because too much emphasis comes on the 90 miles an hour, and then 90 miles, but otherwise it just jumps out. Let's see if we can't find something right there. I'm breathing desert air. I got the windows down. I'm going anywhere. Now I'm finally out. I'm 90 miles an hour down that highway, baby. I can't turn around. Ain't nothing left behind me but the ghost I'm leaving in the cold.
his food.
McDonald's in Easton.
This group has just been very generous about letting people in on songs, and it's pretty clear that I'm probably the weakest link when it comes to the songwriting. At least I would say that, and I think I'm a shrewd judge of talent. So I would have to say, no, Kev, you're not the best songwriter. There are things that you contribute, but you know. Those guys are I think are really gifted, and I think they understand the things I have to sing about and want to sing about.